वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकज चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः। ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे नमो महावदन्याय कृष्णप्रेमप्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्णचैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी शुभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So we are continuing our study on first canto 10th chapter. We'll just see the overview. We have seen two sections in 10th chapter. What are the two sections? Anybody remembers what we have seen in 10th chapter? Correct. Rule of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Huh? Krishna is leaving. Before leaving, what he did? Huh? Loving exchanges between Lord and devotees. That was the main section. We are seeing 7 to 14. First one we have seen. How is like that? Okay. So Yudhishthira Maharaj's rule, how did he, what was the main reason he took up the ruling? Why he took up the responsibility? Why Yudhishthira Maharaj took up responsibility?
Lord Krishna will be pleased.
Just to please Lord Krishna. Not that he is power hungry and he's trying to gain some power and so that he can rule over or command, demand from all citizens. It's not like that. He has no any selfish motivations in gaining power just to please Lord Krishna. And then we are seeing wonderful exchanges between the devotees of Hastinapur and the Supreme Lord himself. From section 7 to 14, we have seen, of course, before that, we have seen the kingdom, how it was flourishing because of Yudhishthira Maharaj's devotion. Everyone is paying taxes. Even the seas and the mountains and all the forests, the crops, everything is going well. And even everyone is happy. There was no any calamities at three levels: Adaya, Vyadi, and Kleshas. Anxieties and at three levels, Adhyatmika, Adibhautik, Adidaivik, Kleshas are not even present. So we are seeing now the Lord is departing from the Hastinapur to Dwaraka. So while leaving, there were many heart-rending exchanges with all the Hastinapur devotees. All the Pandavas are like actually there is a verse in Mahabharata also. It says that Yata Vadi Jalaukasam, just like water for the fishes or the animals in the water, creatures in the water, just like the relation between water and the living entities in the water. That's how they are feeling always. The Pandavas are saying to the Lord, Jivanam no bhavaneva yathavari jalaukasam. Jivanam, our life is bhavaneva. Our life is, everything is you only. Yathavari jalaukasam. Just like vari, water, jalaukasam, for the living entities in the water. Is how the water is so essential and so substantial. It's the only thing that sustains the water for the all living entities in water. So similarly, Pandavas are mentioning to Lord, my dear Lord, you are like that for us. Yathavari jalokasam, without you we cannot live. And there is also a beautiful verse in Mahabharata that he says, Krishna is saying in one of the verses in Mahabharata, how dear the Pandavas are to him. Yastan dveshti saman dveshti, yastan anu samamanu. Aikatmyam agatam vidhi pandavai dharmacharibhi. He who hates the Pandavas hates me, and who follows them follows me. Know that I am one in spirit with them, because that they are righteous in all ways. So, because they are very much following Krishna, Krishna is very much indebted to them, they are very much loving to them. So, that's the loving dealings between Pandavas and Krishna. And now Krishna is leaving, and expressions are mentioned. Yesterday, we have seen how their exchanges are. Of course, the loving feelings come out when there is love. Right now, when we have love, and then the separation makes the love become more intense. What is English saying? There is English saying that fond of the heart, separation makes the heart goes fonder. Something like that. Anybody remembers? Statement. One English saying is there. Separation only makes the heart goes fonder. Something like that. Basically, when there is love and when there is a separation, then we become more and more intense in our heart, intense in our separation. Without love, then where is the question of separation and feeling separation? Just like if we don't know in a particular sweet, any kind of Western sweets, let us suppose if I say some sweets which are made in countries like Italian sweets, if I say the name Chum Chong, let us suppose some Chinese sweet, we don't know anything at all. I mean, we never heard nor we ate it. So we don't feel any kind of separation at all right now. But when we say, oh, We made today gulab jamuns or kala jamun or rabidi in the two-timer. And then if you are not here, let us suppose you reached today and there was yesterday sweet, Thursday was sweet, and today is Friday. When we say some sweet was made yesterday, it was so good, then you feel kind of I missed it, right now. So when we know some rasa or some kind of interaction, then we can feel some separation. So these are the feelings because they had such a deep love and affection towards the Lord. So in our conditioned stage, we don't have any love, but that's how we don't feel any kind of separation from Him. We are not feeling any deep separation. But our separation is different from Krishna's separation. The Pandava separation of from the Lord. So their separation is more pleasurable also for them because separation also increases the intensity in different way. So they also feel kind of a great intimacy in their separation. Our separation is more miserable. Their separation is more pleasurable for them. Also, in another sense, externally they may appear to be very miserable, just like gopis. They may appear to be very miserable, but internally they are very much relishing the association of the Lord as well. So that section is very much we have seen. I'll just share that 10th chapter. Yes. Yes, Tandeshti. Mahabharata, Udyog. Yeah, he's saying like Krishna is saying, who hates the Pandavas hates me. Because yeah, he is very much feels. I'll do that. For word file, no? Yeah, I'll share that one. This is from Udyog Parva. Krishna is personally saying because this shows how much he loves his devotees, how much he identifies with his devotees. Yeah, we have seen how the kingdom was Krishna was pleased that Yudhishthira Maharaj came back to the ruling. He established the Paritranaya Sadhunam Vinashaya Chaturshkatam that was done. And Krishna is so pleased and seeing Pandavas again taking the ruling and prosperous kingdom. 4 and 5, the rains and the crops, everything was in abundant, and the Yudhishthira Maharaj happy. By his rule, no excessive cold or heat or rain, etc. Everyone is happy. And then we have seen the intensity of Krishna's separation. 7 to 14, we have seen the famous verses. Satsangan mukta satsango hatum notsahete buddha. So, what to speak of? The Pandavas who are always engaged in different activities with the Lord. Darshana, Sparsha, Samlapa, Sayyasana, Bhojanai. So these are all very much dear, very much intensifying their feelings. So, because Krishna is departing now. Now, in 15 to 19, we will see how Krishna is honored while he was living with great opulence. And then we will see the ladies of Hastinapur offering glorification. Or they are in themselves, they are talking or sharing about Krishna. We will see, and then Lord leaving the Hastinapur. Finally, the chapter ends with Lord leaving to Dwaraka. So that these are the main section is about the Hastinapur ladies Sanjalpa. That Sanjalpa is Shruti Manohara is compared to. So that we will see. Yesterday we complete till 14. 15 to 19 is about how he is accompanied, how he is being accompanied by gorgeously by various things. Text 15. मृदंग शंख भैर्यश्च वीणा प्रणव गोमुखाः धुन्धुरि आनका घटनाद्य नेदुर्धुन्धुभ्यश्चस्तथा. Is it?
Translation. While the Lord was while the Lord was departing the palace of Hastinapur, the different type of drums like mridanga, dhola, nagara, dhunduri, and dundubi, and flutes like gomukha and other instruments like vinas and bhiris all sounded together to show him honor.
So while welcoming, while departing, send off all the guests, we do. It's auspicious things. It spreads a lot of auspiciousness. The music, the instruments, there are all kinds of auspiciousness, increasing auspiciousness while departing from Hastinapur. Prasada Shikararudah Kurunaryo Didrukshaya Vavrushu Kusumai Krishnam Prema Vrida Smitekshana.
Out of loving desire to see the Lord, the royal ladies of the Kurus got up on top of the palace and smiling with affection and shyness, they showered flowers upon the Lord.
This is one of the famous verse where Prabhupada talks about shyness of ladies. So you might have definitely read. Please read.
Shyness is a particular extra natural beauty of the fair sex and it demands respect from the opposite sex.
Commands respect, not demands.
Commands. Sorry.
So command and demand are entirely
Sorry,
different. Entirely different.
This shyness is a gift of nature to the fair sex and it enhances their beauty and prestige, even if they are of less important family or even if they are less attractive. We have practical experience of this fact. A sweeper woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting a lady's shyness. Half naked ladies in the street do not command any respect, but a shy sweeper's wife commands respect from all.
Prabhupada is relating to one incident that he happened in his life when they were having a meeting or kind of a get together. But when the superwoman came, she was just standing in the corner with a parda on her. So by seeing her, everybody went out. So without she didn't have said anything at all. But that's how Prabhupada is making a point here. A sweeper woman commanded the respect of many respectable gentlemen simply by manifesting lady shyness. So of course, no need to explain too much on our culture now. We are all having we were victims and we are trying to also get rid of those kinds of culture, and we are trying to encourage others also, inspire us also to come to at least a human platform.
Human civilization as conceived of by the sages of India is to help one free himself from the clutches of illusion.
So why Prabhupada is too much on rigidity and culture? Why they have to maintain everybody? Prabhupada many times mentions about cultural aspects. Because the culture itself gives the platform where we can practice spiritual life. Culture is like a pot where we can hold the philosophy, either spiritually or materially also. Even at least dharmic platform, culture is like a pot where we can hold the substance. Without culture, even spiritual culture, let us suppose in temple we have particular culture, in ashram we have culture. That culture holds what we are trying to learn or practice. Without culture, even though we may be speaking high-fi philosophies, but it doesn't sustain. It will leak definitely. So that's how importance of culture. India has some culture now, at least, which is anyway becoming more westernized, but still it has some culture. That's why we are some people are trying to follow some aspects of spiritual life. So that definitely we need to maintain Vaishnava culture. Vaishnava etiquettes and Vaishnava culture is utmost important as well. That's why Sanatana Goswami wrote that Hari Bhakti Vilas to maintain Vaishnava etiquettes. Mahaprabhu himself gave an instruction that you should write. You also should set an example also, and you should write book on Vaishnava, how there should be culture in between Vaishnavas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is very, very particular in these aspects of Vaishnava dealings. So the culture is also very much crucial. That's why our temple name is also New Vedic Cultural Center. The cultural aspect has to be maintained.
They say that the woman is considered to be the fire and the man is considered to be the water. The butter must melt in association with fire, and therefore they may be brought together only when it is necessary. And shyness is a check to the unrestricted mixing. It is a nature's gift and it must be utilized.
सीतातपत्रं जग्राह मुक्तादामा विभूषितं रत्नदण्डं गुडाकेशा प्रियतमस्य
At that time, Arjuna, the great warrior and conqueror of sleep, who was the intimate friend of the most beloved Supreme Lord, took up an umbrella which had a handle of jewels and was embroidered with lace and pearls.
Yeah, that same Arjuna who was commanding, was demanding on the battlefield, Arjuna, Krishna, to go here and there and practically kicking by his leg which way to go. So that same Arjuna is now taking a different role to show his reciprocation, to do some menial service to the Lord. So we also definitely need to, at various times, we have to play our roles. If it is our role is to be a leader in a particular scenario, we need to play, and at the same time, we need to take opportunities to serve the great Mahans, to express our humility and gratitude. Prabhupada mentions about the the opulence that is mentioned here, or the handle with the jewels and embroidered with the laces and pearls, how we are degraded in our opulence from golds and jewels and pearls, now becoming like almost papers. Initially, at least, it was a culture with gold plates or silver plates, even in homes. May not be gold and silver, at least brass plates to use for eating, and then became steel, and then became aluminum, and then became plastic, and now it's a paper. We don't know what will happen later on. So that is the situation. Even jewelry also. Jewelry is also what generally people used to wear, the gold, silver, and diamonds. Nowadays, only plastic and paper. But definitely, that was the culture. Uddhava satyakishchaiva vyajane pramadhute vikeryamana kusumai reje madhupati pati.
Satyaki began to fan the Lord with decorated fans, and the Lord, as a master of Madhu, seated on a scattered flowers, commanded them along the road.
Uddhava is also there in Hastinapur that time. I think he went with Lord Krishna. So they are accompanying him. Ashruyantashisha satyas tatra tatra dvijerpita anurupasya nirgunasya gunatmanaha.
Here and there were heard the benedictions being paid to Krishna, which were neither befitting nor unbefitting, because they were all for the Absolute, who was now playing the part of a human being.
So, read.
At places there were sounds of Vedic benediction aiming at the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna. The benedictions were fitting in the sense that the Lord was playing the part of a human being, as if a cousin of Maharaj Yudhishthir, but they were also unfitting because the Lord is absolute and has nothing to do with any kind of material relativities.
Material relativities. So, as the verse is saying that some are glorifying him, some are giving Ashirvad to him also. So that's how it's written. Were neither befitting nor unbefitting. Yeah, because as Prabhupada mentioned, because he's playing the part of a human being, that's why they are befitting. But at the same time, he is absolute. and they may not be befitting. But at the same time, when it is offered to Lord, both will be contradictions will be resolved because He's absolute. Prabhupada writes here. Therefore, the sounds of benedictions uttered by the learned Brahmanas here and there appear to be contradictory in relation with absolute person. But when they're applied to the absolute person, they lose all contradiction and become transcendental. Of course, even in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, there is a tradition. They offer, after Aratis, they have a special prayer, offering a benediction to the Lord. My dear Lord, please live thousands and thousands of years. Pallandu, pallandu, pallaretandu. So there is a very beautiful glorification that, my dear Lord, let you have a long-lasting life and be glorious. Other things they have because the mood is expressed that he is a person and he is a loving personality. So that's the mood that they offer predictions. Prabhupada here gives how this contradiction is resolved. Read this one. One example may be clear this idea. Keep it on only. Long press.
One example may clear this idea. Lord Shri Krishna is sometimes described as a thief. He is very famous among his pure devotees as the Makhan Chor. He used to steal butter from the houses of neighbors at Vrindavan in his early age. Since then, he is famous as a thief. But in spite of his being famous as a thief, he is worshipped as a thief. Whereas in the mundane world, a thief is punished and is never praised. Since he is the absolute personality of Godhead, everything is applicable to him. And still, in spite of all contradictions, he is the supreme personality of Godhead.
So whether it's befitting or non-befitting, everything is resolved by offering to him. Of course, the moods are very much appreciated there. Whatever the mood they are offering, Krishna is accepting the mood of the devotees. Anyonyamasita sanjalpa uttama shloka chetasam Auravendra purastrinam sarva shruti manoharaha.
Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is glorified in the select poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapur began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas.
Read the commentary.
Their conversation was attractive to all the ears and minds. Sarvashruti Manoharaha. Another meaning is their conversation was attractive to all the Shruti scriptures.
So, both ways. Sarva Shruti Manohara. In the first meaning, Shruti Mano means it's ears and mind. It's their talk is very much pleasing to all the ears of people or the ladies who are on top. It's very pleasing to them, all the ears and minds. In another way, the scriptures as a personality and his mind is also stole. His mind also is overwhelmed when the scriptures were hearing the talks of ladies. Like scriptures are like personalities. So Sarvashruti Manohara, their conversation was attracted to all the Shruti scriptures. He is like a personality, just like in Krishna book or Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a prayers by Shrutis, Vedas personified. So they are personified, they are praying to the Lord. So they are also pleased by when then they heard the Guru Naris, Kauravendra Parastrinam. So their minds were also attracted when they heard. Prabhupada glorifies how the Vaishnava songs composed by Narottam Das Thakur. Read this one.
Anything sung in the praise of the Lord is Shruti Mantra. There are songs of Thakur Narottam Das, one of the acharyas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, composed in simple Bengali language. But Thakur Vishwanath Chakravarti, another very learned acharya of the same Sampradaya, has approved the songs by Thakur Narottam Das to be good as Vedic mantras. And this is so because of the subject matter. The language is immaterial, but the subject matter is important.
Yeah. Narottam Das Thakur, though he was a student of Jiva Goswami, their main focus was teaching in in villages and Keturi and all. He didn't much focused on Sanskrit literature and commentaries, etc. All the three, those were students, Srinivasacharya and Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda Pandit Prabhu. But they were more into preaching and trying to see the practicalities at their level. What is in the local language, they preached a lot. They composed local language songs and all. But when Vishwanath Thakur, he did a lot of work on Sanskrit because he was catering at a different audience. So he is glorifying Narottam Das Thakur here. So they are as good as Vedic mantras because the language is immaterial, but the subject matter is important. Whether it's Bengali or it's Sanskrit, what is subject matter? What is the conclusions that we need to see? So in regard, there is a story also in Guruvayurappan. In Guruvayur story, there is a who is from here, Malayalam, from Kerala. No one. So there is a beautiful story also. Puntanam and Narayan Bhattathiri. I think Narayan Bhattathiri, one famous, very, very famous Sanskrit scholar. When he got a leprosy, he used to go to the temple of Guruvayurappan and he used to offer every day 10 verses in praise of the Lord. This became famous as Narayaniyam. So every day he used to offer 10 verses. So after offering these 10 verses, later on he got cured by this glorification. Lord was so pleased, he was cured. And his composition Narayaniyam became so famous. So that the glorification, especially the Sanskrit alankaras that is there in poetry is too good. And it's based on Bhagavatam only, various Krishna's pastimes. And there was Puntanam also, and no, it's not, he's a kind of a not very good scholar, but it's a half poet. That was his resignation. But his composition only in Malayalam. So he wrote a kind of a poem on the Lord, and he asked Narayan Bhattathiri that please read this composition. He said, what kind of a composition? First of all, it is not in Sanskrit, and it's in local language, Malayalam. And you are a half poet, and you are not a great scholar also. I will not read it. You go. So he chastised Puntanam. He rejected. I will not read it. So then afterwards, Lord came in his dream and chastised like anything, left and right. In this Narayan Bhattathiri. So the next day he went and begged Puntanam, Lord has chastised me, so please give me. So by that time, Lord only corrected the Puntanams, edited everything. When he saw there was no mistake at all in that. So he became very much ashamed. Then Lord chastised him, saying that I am pleased with the bhakti of Pundanam than your vibhaktis in your Sanskrit. I am more pleased your bhakti than the vibhaktis. That's how the language is immaterial, but the subject matter is important. Whoever it may be. So the Lord is more pleased by bhakti than our vibhaktis in our language. Read this one.
The ladies who were all absorbed in the thought and action of the Lord developed the consciousness of Vedic wisdom by the grace of the Lord. And therefore, although such ladies might not have been very learned scholars in Sanskrit or otherwise, still whatever they spoke was more attractive than the Vedic hymns.
Yeah, the ladies may not have been spoken in Sanskrit right now, though they were very much informed by Vasudev. That's how they could glorify the Lord's position here. But they might not be very much scholars in terms of Sanskrit. But still, it was very much pleasing to the Sanskrit personified Shrutis in terms of glorification of the Lord. So now the glorification starts, or the praises by the Hastinapur ladies. Text 21 to 27, it is categorization is given that these were Basically, there are group of ladies on top of the roof. Now, in the group, there are three categories. So, one category of those who are Shantarati ladies, who are very much attracted by the Shantaras. And one group is about Madhurya Rasa devotees. And one group is they are just amazed just to see the Lord, kind of a thing. Now, all are seeing the Lord who is walking on the road. So now all are seeing. But one group, those who are, they are kind of astonished by seeing the Lord. Oh, what great, what a charm, what a beauty. So for them, now the first series of ladies, first series of verses, 21 to 27, those who are in Shantarasa, they are saying to them, those who are very much astonished, very much charmed by the beauty. So generally in Shantarasa, the glorification is more related to the world, the creation, or his secondary qualities more. In Shantarasa, the glorification is more on creational aspects or these Paramatma features, etc. So they are saying to those who are astonished, the first series of verses. Let us recite. Savai kilayam purusha puratano yayeka asid avishesha atmani agre gunebhyo jagadatmanishvare nimiletatman nishishukta shaktishu. Read.
Here is the original personality of Godhead as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature. And in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended.
When they expressed their astonishment, oh, wonderful, so beautiful, so charming. We didn't see such opulence. And they say, yeah, don't worry. He is the same personality who is the original person. So that's what they're saying, the Shantarati Matya devotees. So he's the original person who is beyond the modes, Agre Gunebhya. This is referring to more Bhagavan himself, because the next verse speaks the Mahavishnu feature. This is more speaking of a Bhagavan feature, even when there is no presence of Mahavishnu also. Generally, we hear Mahavishnu is always present. And Jiva Goswami also one mentions that Mahavishnu also merges in Krishna when there is nothing except spiritual world. Ahameva sameva gre nanyad sadasat param. So that state also exists where nothing exists except the spiritual world and the Lord. Just only spiritual activities. But when Lord desires to manifest, immediately Mahavishnu comes and from further things happen. That's why it's called Ya ekad asid. Avishesha atmani. Avishesha means nirprapancha. Prapancha is not existing. Avishesha atmani. Agre gunebhya. Gunebhya, the modes not yet agitated, the modes even not manifested. The prakriti even not came out. So Jagadatmanishware is everything is there. Everything went inside with all the jivas. Nimilatman nishishukta shaktishu. All the jivas, this is a state where this is about after Mahapralaya. How many pralayas are there? There are 4 pralayas. That's what Prabhupada talks in the purport also. Starts with pralayas. Prabhupada mentions here 2, but we know explanation is 4, total 4 are there. There are total 4 pralayas are there. This is a situation where after Mahapralaya, everything went into Mahavishnu and also Mahavishnu went into the Supreme Lord. So in that state it is explained that all the living entities go to Mahavishnu. Those who are not liberated, where they go after Mahapralaya? All the living entities, after Mahapralaya, when Brahma life is over, inside Mahavishnu, what happens to their contaminations? They have their own karma with them, but all their inclinations or upadhis are called Shupta. Now they are in dormant state. They are sleeping state. That's why it's the word used Shupta Shaktishu. all their inclinations, all their upadhis are sleeping now. This is applied to jivas. So supta shaktishu, everything is there, but they are in a sleeping condition. Prabhupada mainly explains about the creational aspects, and what happens to the creation. Then how he starts creating. Prabhupada explains that one. Read this one.
The merging of the living beings into the body of Mahavishnu takes place automatically at the end of Brahma's 100 years. But it does not mean that the individual living being loses his identity. The identity is there. And as soon as there is another creation by the supreme will of the Lord, all the sleeping, inactive living beings are again let loose to begin their activities in the continuation of past different spheres of life. It is called Suptotithanaya, or awakening from sleep and again engaging in one respective continuous duty. When a man is asleep at night, he forgets himself, what he is, what his duty is, and everything of his waking state. But as soon as he awakens from slumber, he remembers all that he has to do and thus engages himself again in the prescribed activities. The living beings also remain merged in the body of Mahavishnu during the period of annihilation. But as soon as there is another creation, they rise to take up their unfinished work.
Unfinished work, yeah. So that's how the things happen, and they are glorifying, the same personality, the same Supreme Lord. Don't be astonished, don't be surprised. He's the same person. So that's how they are informing. Yeah.
Prabhuji, you said that even Mahavishnu merges to Krishna. So it's a very big statement because what we have heard is material nature is also eternal.
Huh?
So
That's
where
what-
it comes exactly by Jiva Goswami, because I have never heard this concept. I am hearing first time this concept.
This we heard in Kanakakrishna Prabhu sharing Jiva Goswami comment that we may not be able to remember when it merges, when it comes out.
I am very happy to hear that. Ki only spiritual word is all. Sometime only spiritual word is only there, no material word.
Yeah.
But still, where it is written, where is it, and how exactly? Well, entire material pradhan is into
Yeah.
Mahavishnu, and Mahavishnu is into Krishna.
When he breathes, everything comes out. When he inhales, everything goes in. That's what we hear. Yes,
But
twice.
pradhan is somewhere
National-
outside.
Huh?
Pradhan is somewhere
No,
outside.
everything goes inside.
Mahatatva.
Everything goes into Mahavishnu.
Okay.
Everything is absorbed into Mahavishnu. Even Pradhan also goes into Mahavishnu.
Even
Pradhan,
Pradhan, Mahatatva.
Pradhan, Mahatattva comes from Pradhan.
Pradhan.
Everything goes inside the body of Mahavishnu. First he manifests, if you want, when he inhales, everything goes inside. Nothing is outside now. So he also goes into Krishna. That's what the comment of Jiva Goswami. And that is, we cannot even observe. But he goes and manifests again when Krishna, that's what the meaning of when Krishna wants to create. So that time Mahavishnu manifests again.
So even our Purushas are also temporary in that sense.
In that sense, Tripurs are also temporary. In that sense, temporary we cannot take as a temporary, but the manifestation is we cannot see.
Yeah. So it is mentioned in Sandarbha. Where is it mentioned?
Exactly, you need to see the comment where he mentioned, but he put it in our sessions. And third canto, I think, when the creation aspect came. Third canto, third canto, second chapter, third chapter, it comes. Grihita. That word comes. He explained in that comment only. Jiva Goswami comments.
Jiva merges into Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu merges into Krishna.
So with our tiny understanding, we cannot imagine that when he merges, when he comes out. But that was mentioned to substantiate the point. Ahamevasamevagre. There was only spiritual world. There is nothing except spiritual world. To substantiate, and from the Bhagavatam, only the verse when it is spoken that Jagruhe Rupam Mahadab Jagruhe Paurusham Rupam. Jagruhe Paurusham Rupam. Third canto comes this verse. Jagruhe Paurusham Rupam. He accepted the Purusha form. So that's how a comment was given that this Purusha form is accepted by the Supreme Lord. So that's where this understanding came that He's accepting means now he's giving the charge to Mahavishnu. To, okay, you now you create. Like that.
It's not eternal. It is not always there. He has to accept it.
In one sense, eternal word is always, we have different connotations.
Yeah.
How it is eternal. Everything is eternal, we also say, but in a different degrees. The matter is also eternal, but where is matter? When you say ahame vasame vakre, matter is not there, but it is there within the Lord in a subtle form. That's how it's eternal. So similarly, Purushas also, three Purushas. Like that. Keep it on only. Long press.
As we see here that the women of Hastinapur are praising Lord Krishna as the original personality, the supreme living being. The first, it is explained here that he is the only one existed before the manifestation of the creation. So this realization came to them after this war or before also it existed in them. How can this thing?
It was understood that they are hearing. We will also see the purports. They are always hearing from personalities like Vyasadeva, hearing about Krishna. Because the talks were going on in Hastinapur, because the Pandavas are there, Kauravas are there, Vyasadeva is there. There were many talks were going on, and they keep on sharing and talking about personality of Krishna. So that's how they are very much enlightened by the mercy of Vyasadeva and personalities about Krishna. Like that. That was the comment by the Acharyas. That's how they could explain about the Lord, that the original position of the Lord. Okay, text 2 in the sense that 22. So this verse speaks about Mahavishnu. Saiva bhuyo nijavirya choditam swajiva mayam prakritim sisrikshitim anama rupa atmani rupa namani vidit samano nusasara sashrakrit.
The personality of Godhead again, desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcels. The living entities place them under the guidance of material nature. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate.
So those who did not have the jivas, Lord Krishna and Mahavishnu gave them till now in the subtle form they are there. They don't have any form, they don't have any names, etc. Now desiring to give them, he created that. He created all these forms. Swajiva mayam prakritim. So he entrusted all the jivas, living entities to Prakriti, who is Mahavishnu. That's why the word is used. Nija virya choditam. So Mahavishnu instigates by glance, and he also sends all the jivas with the time, and jivas with Prakriti and their nature. He sends according to their karma, according to their swabhava, and the time factor. These three goes into the Prakriti, instigate by glance, then everything starts. So here Sisrikshiti, that she also desires to creation in the sense that Lord desires and then further action is taken care by the Prakriti. That's how she also desiring to create. It's not different, independent of the Lord. So with this samana, desiring to award, Supreme Lord desired to award the names and forms to the living entities. So this is all because of living entities having desires to enjoy upadhis. So that's how they again after creation, he created not only Namarupa, but he also gave. He didn't just give the sufferings in the form of the upadhis. He also gave the Shastrakrit. He also gave Shastras, the means of deliverance. That's why Shastrakrit word is used in the last Shastrakrit. Not only he giving the bodies and forms, names and forms, but also means of deliverance. Shastra. That's how the compassionate Lord gave even Shastras along with the creation. In fact, the comment was Mahavishnu manifesting the Vedas at first moment of his breathing and then followed the Prakriti. Everything else follows later on. That's how creation. When he breathes. And in Upanishads also it said the Vedas are the breathing of the Supreme Lord. So the first Vedas are created, are manifested, not created, manifested, because they are also eternal always. So he manifests the Vedas and also manifests the living entities so that they can try to again endeavor to gain liberation. So Prabhupada talks about Nitya Baddhas and Nitya Muktas and how they are caught up. Nitya Baddhas in the sense they have the opportunity to continue ahead. If they continue, if they want, if they desire, why should I go? Why should I have liberation? They can continue eternally here. That's the meaning of Nitya Baddhas, Nitya Muktas. Please read this one.
Actually, the spiritual sparked living entities have no material names or forms, but in order to fulfill their desire to lord it over the material energy of material forms and names, they are given a chance for such false enjoyment. And at the same time, they are given a chance to understand the real position through the revealed scriptures. The foolish and forgetful living being is always busy with false forms and false names.
This is our conditioned stage. We understand we are caught up with our designations, names, and forms. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed the famous verse. What is our बोलिए माइक में बोलिए ना हम विप्रो न च नरपति नापि वैश्यो न शूद्रो ना हम वर्णी न गृहपति नो वनो यतिर्वा किंतु प्रोद्यन् निखिल परमानंत पूर्णामुताब्धेर ओपीर भर्तुर्पदकमलयोर दासः. We are not designated with all these designations. So Varna and Ashram. But still, see, some designations some anchors are very destructive and some anchors are helpful for us in the conditioned stage. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives this story of the marriage party story. Everybody understands the marriage party story of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So the main anchor was our upadhis. He explains our material enjoyments and material upadhis. But the opposite also is true. When we have positive anchors, positive upadhis, I am a sadhaka, I am a devotee, I am a brahmachari, I am a Brahmin initiated, I am in saffron, I am a disciple. So these are all positive upadhis that can be used and exercised so that we can easily cross to other side by using these upadhis. But at the same time, we also give up all these upadhis as we are advancing. We are not identifying also all these upadhis. I am a brahmachari, I am a sannyasi, I am this and I am that. But these upadhis also can help us in a positive way when we are identifying in a positive spirit. That's why many times Prabhupada also uses this, instigates the upadhis. Even material upadhis used to instigate to get some things done from the disciples. What is the use of you being an American disciples? Come on, do something great. So that's how he used to, though he used to hammer on Vyasasan day in and day out. You are not the body, you are the spirit soul. We are not Indians, we are not Americans, we are not Chinese. But still sometimes he used to instigate so that something can be positive, things can be brought out, inspired. So in that way also we can use. So they are continuing. Savayam yat padamatra surayo jitendriya nijjitam matarishvanaha pashyanti bhaktya vaktalilatmanatmana nanvesha sattvam parimastumarhati.
Here is the same Supreme Personality of Godhead whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of life and the senses.
Hmm.
And that is the only way to purify existence.
They are saying that except bhakti ukta, bhakti uktalitat amalatmana. Only by bhakti, what is the exact translation? Uktalita developed, amalatmana, those whose minds are thoroughly cleansed by bhakti. Bhakti utkalita. So by practicing bhakti, this amalatmana, by the minds are thoroughly cleansed. By that only one can achieve, one can become transcendental, experienced. Is experienced by great devotees. That experience is only possible by practicing bhakti yoga, not by any other means. So that is the main meaning of the verse they are saying. So it's very easy now to have darshan in Prakata Leela. They are saying to them, they are asking the other ladies, now we are able to see, have darshan here in Prakata Leela. But otherwise, who else is qualified to see? Is there anyone can see when he is not present, or when he is not manifesting his Prakata Leela, or when he is Aprakata Leela? How we can have his darshan? They are saying it's very difficult. But by practicing Bhakti Yoga, one can experience the Supreme Lord, not by other yogas. So that's the inner meaning of the question and answer. Now we are able to see, having darshan here in Dwaraka, we are able to see him. But what will happen when he's in Apakata Leela? How we can see? Yeah, by practice of Bhakti Yoga, we can constantly see. Premanjanachurati bhakti vilochanena santa sadaiva hridayeshu vilokayanti yam shama sundaram achintya gunaswarupam govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. Read the commentary.
The Purushavatas present at the beginning of the creation have been described, but Krishna is not of that type. He is perceivable now during Dwapara Yuga in the 28th cycle of the Vaivasvata Manvantara. That is true, but though his eternal pastimes and eternal form perceived by bhakti have appeared in Dwapara Yuga, his pastimes can always be perceived by those having devotion. This is expressed in this verse.
That is expressed in this verse. Read this one. Purport, read.
Purport. As it is said in Bhagavad Gita, the Lord can be known in his real nature by dint of pure devotional service only. So it is stated here that only the great devotees of the Lord who are able to clear the mind of all material dust by rigid devotional service can experience the Lord as he is.
So Prabhupada mainly says, based on Bhagavad Gita, by practicing bhakti, we can experience the Lord by rigid devotional service. And he compares with bhaktas and yogis, how they are trying to use their, because the verse is saying no other way, nanvesha, no other way. So Prabhupada is comparing with yogis and jnanis. You cannot achieve Krishna. He's giving examples of Vishwamitra Muni, who failed in many ways and could not achieve the Lord until he manifested until he is practicing or he perfected his bhakti process. And then bhakti and jnana also, Prabhupada explains here. They also, after a very long time, practices jnana, and they also come to bhakti level. They have to. Otherwise, no other way to experience the Supreme Lord. So, yeah.
Unable to understand the link. So the ladies are saying that it is very difficult to have darshan of Lord Shri Krishna,
Yeah.
but because who are purified in their senses, they can only have darshan of Lord Shri Krishna. But fortunately, they have taken birth in Prakat Leela. That's why they are able to take his darshan. So what is the connection point of the Prakat Leela?
Here, commentary is mentioned. You might have seen.
That is so. It is very good to have darshan in Prakat Leela.
See, but though his eternal pastimes now perceived by bhakti appeared in Dwapara Yuga, now we can see. But if he's aprakata, if he's not manifesting his leelas, how can we have darshan? How can we perceive him? Can we perceive him or not? That was the question.
So
They
there
are
is a
saying that by bhakti, practicing of bhakti, when we have bhakti uktalita amalatmana, by practicing bhakti, when we purify our mind, we can definitely also see by not by any other methods. That's what they are saying to them. Those are asking question. How can we have darshan always? Huh?
but right now they are
Right
able
now
to
they are
see
seeing
because of Prakat Leela or because they are
because Prakat Lila, because
oh,
of
yeah,
Prakat
they
Leela.
are totally purified, controlling mind and senses.
Yeah, there also. They are saying those who are purified, they can always see. Those who are not purified, they can also see by practicing bhakti. In Aprakata Lila, when Lord is not manifesting, if they want to see, they should have devotion first of all. If they don't have devotion, not purified mind, they can purify by bhakti process. That is the power of bhakti also glorified here.
And they can see the Lord.
They can perceive the Lord.
Perceive the Lord.
Yeah, correct. Even Prakat Lila also, like Duryodhana and Rashtra and all, they cannot see the actual form of the Lord. The devotional aspects they cannot see. Yeah. In Prakat Lila also, not everyone can access what is Krishna's sweetness and what is Krishna's glory and all. Only they have to be purified by bhakti. But that's just like a sun. Sun is always available for everyone. If I am sitting in a dark room, how can I access? The mentality of the people is always the free will of the living entity is always given the position. If I don't want to, then he is given that respect of free will. Though Lord has omnipotency to immediately, forcefully can change, but he respects the free will of the living entity always. Like that. Definitely, that is also one way of understanding. But we understand they have inimical nature. That's why they could not understand. Lord has various ways to put up the dramas. Okay, we continue. सावायं शक्य अनुगीत सत्कथो वेदेषु गुह्येषु च गुह्यवादिभिः य एकैषो जगदात्मलीलया सृजत् अवत्यति न तत्र सज्जते.
Oh, dear friend, here is that very personality of Godhead whose attractive and confidential pastimes are described in the confidential parts of Vedic literature by his great devotees. It is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world and yet remains unaffected.
So he creates the scriptures, he manifests the scriptures. Okay, can we understand from the scriptures? Yes, but only their confidential scriptures are there and explained by confidential devotees. So from that only one can understand the Supreme Lord in truth. One can definitely understand the Supreme Lord at the presence of the Lord. But in truth, one can, when approaches the confidential scriptures explained by the confidential devotees, then only one can understand the Supreme Lord in truth, in essence. So if it is very difficult to have darshan, then can we hear about him in the Vedas? At least hear and understand. Does Vedas glorify him? Yes, all the Vedas glorify him, but only confidential part of the Vedas, like Srimad Bhagavatam, reveal his full glory as Supreme Lord. In all other parts, his other features are glorified, Brahmajyoti and Paramatma, etc. How is glorified? Other ways is also glorified, like creating, maintaining, dissolving. That is the glorification of him. But though he is creating all these things, he is not attached to those activities or is not attached to the material world. So in that way, the verse is spoken. So if it is very difficult to have darshan, at least can we hear and have the understanding about him? Yeah, we can understand through Shastra, but only when you are hearing from a bona fide spiritual master, then we can understand about him. Guhyavadibi. Read the purport.
The Vedas are expanded by many branches and sub-branches by great devotees and empowered incarnations of the Lord like Vyasa, Narada, Sukadev Goswami, the Kumaras, Kapila, Prahlad, Janak, Bali, and Yamaraj. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam especially, the confidential part of his activities are described by the confidential devotee Sukadev Goswami.
Guhyavadibi is devotees. Guhyeshu, Vedeshu, Guhyeshu, Guhyavadibi. Two. So Prabhupada is making that point that all these Mahajans are there, but definitely we need to hear from them. Read this one also.
In the Vedanta Sutra or Upanishads, there is only a hint of the confidential part of his pastimes. In such Vedic literature as the Upanishads, the Lord has expressively been distinguished from the mundane conception of his existence. His identity being fully spiritual, his form, name, quality, and paraphernalia etc. have been elaborately distinguished from matter, and therefore he is sometimes misunderstood by less intelligent person as impersonal.
So unless we hear from the bona fide parampara, if we are trying to access on our own, we may end up in wrong conclusions, misconceptions, or mundane conceptions. That's what Prabhupada is mentioning now. So Krishna is manifesting his appearance. So Desha Kala Patra, to where, when, and to whom he is manifesting, that is explained in these three verses, next three verses. Now first is when does he appearing, when he manifests himself, when he gives darshan. Yada hi adharmena tamodhiyo nripa jivanti tatraisha hi sattvatah kila datte bhagavam satyam rutam dayam tasho bhavaya rupani tatat yuge yuge.
Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power. The truth positive shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages.
So they are not, these prayers or these talks are not very chronological in the sense of building a particular topic. They are just expressing their hearts, whatever they are saying, and they are trying to talk with each other. Sanjalpa, they are just talking, not prajalpa, but sanjalpa. So this is about when he appears. Yeah, he appears when adharmena, yadahi adharmena tamodhiya nrupa. All the kings, when they are overwhelmed by this tamodhiya, this dark intelligence or less intelligence, by that they are doing adharma. That time he manifests. This purpose is to inform the Supreme Lord at what time he appears. This verse is informing us. When the ignorant kings live on adharma at the cost of others, that time he takes. But tatresha hi satvatah kila bhavaya rupani datat yuge yuge datte bhagam satyam rutam dada dayam yasho. By all this he manifests all this. Bhagam satyam rutam daya yashaha. Yuge yuge he manifests in every yuga by accepting, by manifesting these opulences, satyam, rutam. So these all the opulences he's manifesting. And he manifests when there is a adharma, when these kings become very much adharmic. That time he manifests, and he manifests by accepting all these wonderful qualities. What Prabhupada comments about, read this one, context.
For those asking about the time, place, and persons, for avatars appearance, they first speak of the time.
For those asking about when they appear, where they appear, and to whom, for whose purpose all these avatars appear. So they are replying, other group. The first about time, when he appears. So Prabhupada builds the background also as based on Bhagavad Gita and Ishopanishad. When there is Dharma Saglani, Krishna starts appearing. Read this one.
The living beings are certainly his parts and parcels, or sons, and thus every one of them have a right to live at the mercy of the Lord to execute his prescribed work. No one, therefore, can encroach upon the right of another individual man or animal without being so sanctioned by the Lord. The king or the administrator is representative of the Lord to look after the management of the Lord's will.
So, because they are assigned, but unfortunately, they are trying to encroach on others' property.
But at times, due to the influence of the ignorance mode of material nature, tamoguna, the lowest of the material modes, kings and administrators come into power without knowledge and responsibility. And such foolish administrators live like animals for the sake of their own personal interest. The result is that the whole atmosphere becomes surcharged with anarchy and vicious elements. Nepotism, bribery, cheating, aggression, and therefore famine, epidemic, war, and similar other disturbing features become prominent in human society. And the devotees of the Lord or the faithful are persecuted by all means. All these symptoms indicate the time of an incarnation of the Lord to re-establish the principles of religion and to vanquish the mal-administrators. This is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita.
So he manifests. Even when Advaita Acharya saw that all these Kali Yuga manifestations are becoming more and more rampant, people are becoming too much addicted to kind of rituals only, not to practicing any kind of bhakti. Advaita Acharya very intensely and eagerly is calling out to the Lord, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, to manifest the Supreme Lord in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So that's how the Supreme Lord manifested to re-establish again the principles of religion and especially to distribute Prema Bhakti, Prema Rasanryasa, Karite Aswadan, Raga Marga Bhakti Loke, Karite Pracharan, Rasika Shekhara Krishna, Parama Karuna, Ei Dui Hetu, Ichare Udgama. Ei Dui Hetu, Ichare Udgama, Udgam. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu manifested himself. Rasika Shekhara Krishna, Parama Karuna. He wanted to relish the highest mellows, rasa. Also Parama Karuna. He is not only relishing himself. My dear sir, what you are doing for all living entities? Parama Karuna is simply distributing mercy of the Lord, not only the special mercy and the topmost mercy of Prema. Patra Patra Vichara Nahi, Nahi Stan Astan, Yehi Yaha Deke, Taha Kare Prem Dan. So, Panchatattva broke open the seal of the love of God and they distributed the contents without seeing who is qualified, who is unqualified. So that's how Krishna manifests for the sake to distribute the mercy. So, of course, when he comes with all the appearances, Satyam, Rutam, Daya, Yasha. In this way, he manifests. Here, Prabhupada giving example of he manifests the opulence of Dwaraka and how 16,108 wives is manifesting that kind of opulence in Dwaraka. Okay, now then further, next, this sloka explains about the two other things. They asked about time, place, and the people. The time is, they spoke when the Adharma, the demoniac kings, when they manifest more and more, Krishna comes. And here the time and people are glorified here, where he manifests, where he appears. Aho alam slagatamam yadokulam, aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam, yadesha pumsam rishabhashriyapati, swajanmana chankramena chanchati. Read.
Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of goddess Fortune, has taken his bath and wandered in his childhood pastimes.
So two things are glorified. Vishwanath Chakravarti make a big commentary based on Chanchati. Chanchati, Cha Anchati. Anchati is like a glorifies, glories. So he says that, as I heard from His Grace Kanakrishan Prabhu, that it's mentioned in present tense. What the verb is used, he's manifesting, he's not manifested. He's manifesting means all the leelas are continuing eternally, though they are in aprakata leela. So though they are in aprakata form, but they are continuing. The prakata leela, after prakata leela, still the leelas are continuing, especially in these special places like Mathura, Vrindavan, Dwarka, etc. So not all the places are called aprakata dhams. Only very few like Mathura, Vrindavan, and Dwarka, they are some not like a Kurukshetra. You can see, one can see the pastimes of war and etc. But some places are only having aprakata forms, aprakata leelas are going on. So that's what mentioning here by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that still aprakata leelas are going on in these dhams. That's the Madhur Vanam is glorified. Yeah, the leelas are continuing. There are three kinds of Nitya leelas explained by Yoga Swami. We'll see that point. First, this one. How people are glorified. Swajanmana yadoh kulam anchati. By birth, Yadu dynasty is glorified. So the people, Deshakala Patra, Deshakala, the personalities. So people, Swajanmana, because of your birth, Yadu Kulam, the dynasty of Yadu is dynasty of Yadu is glorified. By moving in Madhur Vanam, the Desha, the Madhur Vanam, the Vrindavan is glorified here. So in those two sense. So there are three kinds of Nitya Leelas as explained. That's point to be mentioned, that Anchati is manifesting Prakata Leela and Aprakata Leela. The Prakata Leelas, when they disappear, when they are over, then Aprakata Leela also is manifesting, but not in all the places, but in only some places. Very intimate places, very intimate pastimes that are explained by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And Prabhupada brings out, based on Bhagavad Gita 4.9, what is the verse? Janma karma cha me divyam yevam yo veti tatvataha tektva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. So there also Janma and Karma word came. So Prabhupada, based on that verse, he gives the wonderful commentary about how by knowing them in truth, we will also become transcendental. Please read the red line.
The Lord appears in a particular family or place by his inconceivable potency. He does not take his bath as a conditioned soul, quit his body, and accept another body. His bath is like a appearance and disappearance of a sun. The sun arises on the eastern horizon, but that does not mean that the eastern horizon is the parent of the sun. The sun is existent in every part of the solar system, but he becomes visible at a scheduled time and so also becomes invisible at another scheduled time. Similarly, the Lord appears in this universe like the sun and again leaves our sight at another time. He exists at all times and every place, but by his causeless mercy, when he appears before us, we take it for granted that he has taken his bath.
So Prabhupada is indicating here, he exists at all times and at every place, but by his causeless mercy, when he appears before us, we take it for granted that he has taken his birth. So he's giving example of sun. Just it's not sun is not dying. So three kinds of Nitya Leelas are explained. So we understand also different universes when one universe Prakash is over, and then in a different universe things will start. So that's how it's also Nitya Leela. It's one understanding, one meaning. That is also in the material world. But in another way, in Aprakat Prakash, in Aprakata form, Nityalila is going on. That is also called Nityalila. That is also meaning of Nityalila is going on, Dwaraka, Vrindavan especially. So that is also mentioned as Nityalila, but these two are in material world. And anyway, spiritual world, Nityalila goes on. Spiritual world is always Nitya. So in these three levels, the Nitya are spoken, are the meaning understanding also. So that's how Krishna's Leelas are eternally going on. That's how when his divine race, well, Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj, no, Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj, when he went to the Tulsi courtyard, when Bhaktivinoda Thakur saw that some light is coming, when he went there, he was jumping. He was at the age of almost beyond 100 years. At the age of 120, he was not able to see, not able to walk, not able to even do his own things. He was carried in a basket all the while, but he was jumping up and down. By understanding that here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Panchatattva is always doing Nam Sankirtan, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So they could see and they can see some purified devotees. The Nitililas, what they are manifested to those pure devotees. Things are going on, but only those who are very fortunate can perceive and experience. Okay, Desh Kalapatra are over. We will pause here for our break. We will meet 12:20. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Text 26, 27. This is the last verse that they speak. Now, having glorified Mathura and the Yadu dynasty, they are remembering Dwaraka also. Aho Bataswar Yashasastiraskari Kushasthali Punya Yashaskari Bhuvaha Pashyanti Nityam Yadanugrahe Shishtam Smitavalokam Swapatim Smayat Prajaha. Right?
Undoubtedly, it is wonderful that Dwarka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwarka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving features. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles.
So, here comparison is given about Dwaraka and the Swarga. Read commentary.
Having glorified Mathura Mandal, they now remember Dwarka. Oh, Dwarka surpasses the fame of Swarga. This is the statement in deference to common attributes, not scriptural truth, since there is no comparison to Swarga at all.
There is no comparison, just a local saying.
Yeah.
So, of course, Dwaraka Prabhupada glorifies how Dwaraka is surpasses the heavenly planets. Read this one.
Three places, namely Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka, are more important than the famous planets within the universe. These places are perpetually sanctified because whenever the Lord descends on earth, he displays his transcendental activities, particularly in these three places. They are perpetually the holy lands of the Lord, and the inhabitants still take advantage of the holy places, even though the Lord is now out of their sight. The Lord is the soul of all living beings, and he desires always to have all the living beings in their swarup, in their constitutional position to participate in transcendental life in his association. His attractive features and sweet smile go deep into the heart of everyone, and once it is so done, the living being is admitted into the kingdom of God, from which no one returns. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita.
So Prabhupada is taking ahead our life mission. What is in store for all of us. So, but here, what the Dwarkavasis have, the Anugraheshtitam and Smita is not possible in Swarga right now. There is no presence of Krishna in Swarga. But in Dwaraka, he's always glancing, his glance is Anugraheshtitam, and Smitavalokam is possible only in Dwaraka. And that's why Dwaraka, Kushasthali, I don't know why the name Kushasthali, but Dwaraka is also called Kushasthali. That's how it's famous. Being in the presence of the Lord in Dwaraka, and is always glancing on the devotees and having sweet smiling exchanges with the devotees. That makes the Dwaraka extremely fortunate, extremely glorious than the Swarga also. So in that way they are remembering Dwaraka also. Read this last part.
Dwarka is certainly more important than the heavenly planets because whoever has been favored with the smiling glance of the Lord shall never come back again to the rotten earth, which is certified by the Lord himself as a place of misery. Not only this earth, but also all the planets of the universes are places of misery because in none of the planets within the universe is there eternal life, eternal bliss, and eternal knowledge.
Just by having the presence of Lord in Dwaraka and by having sweet smiles and exchanges, they are And all living entities, definitely, one can go back home, back to Godhead. And they are actually in Vrindavan. They are actually in a spiritual world by being with the Lord. Not in Swarga. Swarga, there is no question of any exchanges like this. That's why Dwarka is beyond the so-called Swarga. I mean, even it cannot be compared at all. In from material point of view, Swarga is on material level. Dwarka is on spiritual planet. Dwarka is on a different platform, a spiritual platform. They should not be compared at all. But just for local understanding, not as spiritual fact, not as a scriptural fact, but as for understanding, the comparison is given. Now, those who are tinged with those who are in Madhuri Rasa, they are speaking now about these verses, about different devotees of Braja and Dwaraka. They are glorifying. Nunam Vratasnana Dineshwaraha Samarchito hi asya grihita panibhi Pibanti yasakyadharamritam muhur Vrajastrija samma muhur yatashrayah.
Oh, friends, just think of his wives, whose hands he has accepted. How they must have undergone vow, baths, fire sacrifice, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe to constantly release now the nectar from his lips by kissing. The damsels of Brajbhumi would often faint just by expecting such favors.
By reading translation, what do you understand? Who is greater? What it appears? It appears? What it appears? Yeah, it appears that Dwaraka Ranis are greater than Rajabhumi, Rajavasis are damsels of Rajabhumi. But it is entirely different. What Vishnu Jagatar gives. It appears like that, but he explained in a different, beautiful way. Read his commentary.
This verse describes the woman with Madhurya Ras. Certainly, Krishna was worshipped by the vows, wedding, and sacrifices by his wives who drink the nectar of his lips constantly. Let us also, not having performed vow in wedding, drink the nectar of his beauty right now. Those wives are much superior to us, even with our millions of good qualities, but they are much inferior to the women of Braja. Those whose minds were observed in the sweetness of those lips fainted with bliss by remembering that sweetness in the morning. What kinds of condition they attend on actually drinking that nectar at night, we do not know. In this way, the gopis' extreme bliss arising from their extreme prem is indicated.
So that's how it's commented that, see, they are saying here that the Dwaraka Ranis, the queens of Dwaraka, they have performed so many rituals and vows and sacrifices. Of course, we know the stories of all the 16,108 queens, how they manifested. 16,000 are from heavenly ladies who are cursed. Of course, they had the desire to serve Krishna as a servant, as a maid servant. So that's why the external fact is that they offended Ashtavakra Muni, and Ashtavakra Muni cursed them to be born in earthly planet. But because they asked forgiveness and all, so then he said, okay, you will become the queens of the Lord. So that's how the pastime unfolds. But the 8 are principle they are not at all from any tinged by material things. They are Nitya Siddhas, all the 8 queens. So that's how 16,108 queens are staying in Dwaraka. So there about them it's mentioned that constantly release the nectar of his lips. The damsels of Vrajabhumi would often faint just by expecting such favors. But Vishnu Jagatar is saying that it's not like that. See here, just by remembering the exchanges in the night, they are fainting in the morning. The Vrajavasis, the Vrajabhumi dancers, what they had, the nectar in the night, just by remembering that in the morning, they are fainting. And what to speak of the experience when they had. So comparing to that, Dwaraka queens are, they are not much experiencing. They are not much experiencing as Vrajavasis are experiencing. So that's so it's flipped again. That Dwarkavasis are much inferior than the prema of the Vrajavasis. Prabhupada explains all these rasas, how one conditioned soul, how one conditioned soul transforms as he is practicing spiritual life, starts with the religious rites from the scriptures, and then starts practicing and then becoming a Swarupa and trying to establish himself in different rasas. That Prabhupada explains. And also he explains the theme of the verse, that Swakiya and Parakiya rasas. Because Dwaraka is more in Swakiya rasa, and which is one step down to Parakiya rasa, which is experienced in Vrajabhumi. That's how Prabhupada explains here, how these two rasas are manifesting in the devotees of Dwaraka and Vrajabhumi. That Prabhupada explains. And then last he explains about, he gives a beautiful understanding about application as to us. Read this one.
Each and every living being has its individual position in one of the above mentioned 5 different kinds of reciprocating means with the Lord. And in one's pure spiritual form of Swarup, the relation becomes manifest without mundane affinity. The kissing of the Lord, either by his wives or his young girlfriends who aspire to have the Lord as their fiancé, is not of any mundane perverted quality. Had such things been mundane, a liberated soul like Sukhdev Goswami would not have taken the trouble to relish them, nor would Lord Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have been inclined to participate in those subjects after renouncing worldly life. The stage is earned after many lives of penance.
If at all they are mundane, then why Sukadeva Goswami, the renouncer, the crest jewel of renunciants, Sukadeva Goswami, and the Supreme Lord himself in the form of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the when he was in the Sannyasa Leela, he's also trying to relish these topics. That's Prabhupada's rhetoric question. Make us understand these are not at all mundane, but definitely all the living entities can definitely have the situation. May not be exactly trying to be like them, but following in their footsteps by practicing Bhakti Yoga. So glory is mentioned in the next verse. Ya virya shulkena hruta swayam svare pramatya chaidya pramukhan hi sushminaha pradyumna samba tudayadayo para yashahita bhauma vadhe sahasrasaha.
The children of these ladies are Pradyumna, Samba, Amba, etc. Ladies like Rukmani, Satyabhama, and Jamvati were forcibly taken away by him from their Swayamvar ceremonies after he defeated many powerful kings, headed by Shishupal, and other ladies were also forcibly taken by him after he killed Bhaumasur and thousands of his assistants. All of these ladies are glorious.
So you might have read the story how all these ladies were captured by Narkasur and they were released by Krishna, and so they are married to Krishna. And the children are also glorified here. Pradyumna, Samba, Damba, their children. Krishna's glory is all these ladies are glorious. Read the purport. Prabhupada explains the story of 16,108 queens. Of course, Prabhupada writes about 16,108, but this verse generally applies to not the 8 queens, main queens, because they are not ordinary devotees, ordinary women, like all the 16,000 who came from the Swarga But because they served the Lord Krishna, because they heard from Vaibhav, because they saw Krishna personally, they also developed the moods of intimate feelings later on, and they were also promoted to the higher status of being with Krishna. Otherwise, in general, all the eight queens have a special position. So Prabhupada explains in this purport, but and also how the aggregate of family Prabhupada explains. So much, so big the family. So Prabhupada explains those aspects. Yes, bro. Time period. Where Pandavas are. Queens married. Pandavas are, I don't know exactly, 14 years are asking, and exile you are asking. I don't have any information on that. Where Pandavas are. Any information, any idea? Where Pandavas were when Krishna married the queens? Where he married? Huh. I don't know much information on that.
Had happened before only, means when Krishna left means Mathura
Hmm.
and went to Dwarka.
Correct. He shifted everyone to Mathura, Dwaraka. Yeah.
And during that time, all these pastimes.
Yeah. During that time only. Correct. After that only. After, because just after shifting to Dwaraka, he took all the queens to the solar eclipse. Where Vrajavasis also came, they met. There was a big discussion between queens and other things, and this was just after he shifted to Dwaraka. Everyone shifted to Dwaraka. That is solar eclipse past time. To what is the place? Kurukshetra. So there they met. This was just after he shifted to Dwaraka. That means that happened just after he shifted to Dwaraka. He married all these queens. एताः परं स्त्रीत्वम् अपास्तपेशलं निरस्तशौचं बत साधु कुर्वते यासां गृहात् पुष्करलोचनापति न जात अपैति आहृतिभिर्हृदि स्पृशन्.
Auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations.
So it appears that apastapeshalam nirasta saucham, the queens are purified without individuality and without purity, because they are captured by the Bhamasur, Narkasur, without purity. But sadhu kurvate, they became purified. It doesn't apply to 8 queens. It applies to only 16,000 queens. That is this sloka. And because others are not at all any kind of impurity is there with them. Because the Vedic times we understand that a lady cannot go outside of the home. Even she is going out, but she cannot stay with any man outside. So in that way they are contaminated by the but by the mercy of the Lord they became purified now. Read this one.
The devotees of the Lord are purified souls. As soon as the devotees surrender unto the lotus feet of the Lord sincerely, the Lord accepts them. And thus the devotees at once become free from all material contaminations. Such devotees are above the 3 modes of material nature. There is no bodily disqualification of a devotee, just as there is no qualitative difference between the Ganges water and the filthy drain water when they are amalgamated.
When we take some ordinary water from tap and put immediately Ganga water for Achaman. Now it's purified. Now it's pure water. There is no question of any contamination. So that's how when anyone, Prabhupada is bringing a general principle also, that anyone who surrenders to the Lord becomes purified. Prabhupada goes on saying about the girls, their position, how Striyo Vaishya Tatavi, Shriyo Vaishya. What is the verse? Gita, Shriyo Vaishya. Tepiyanti Parangatim. Shriyo Vaishya Tata Sutra Tepiyanti Parangatim. So by taking shelter of Mam hi Pardavya Pashritya Epishu Papayoni. Papayonaya. Some understanding is also that there are 4 categories. Papayoni is different. Striya, Vaishya, Shudra. 4 categories are, that is one Acharya's commentary, that there are 4 categories are there. Not that these 3 are Papayoni or Striya, Vaishya, Shudra or Papayoni, but Papayoni is different from these 3 also. Another way of understanding. But everyone gets liberated just by taking shelter of the Lord. Read this one.
The fallen girls under the clutches of Bhaumasura sincerely prayed to Lord Sri Krishna for their deliverance, and their sincerity of purpose made them at once pure by virtue of devotion. The Lord therefore accepted them as his wives, and thus their lives became glorified. Such auspicious glorification was still more glorified when the Lord played with them as the most beloved husband.
The sincerity purpose made them at once pure by the virtue of devotion. So the sincerity purpose we need to exercise. Prabhupada wrote one letter to Brahmananda Maharaj that time, that one sincere soul is enough to maintain one center. So it doesn't need many people to run a center, but one sincere surrendered soul is sufficient to run a center. That's how Prabhupada comments on sincerity of purpose. Okay. So these are the prayers by the Kuru ladies. So that's how the 2 sections are explained, the 2 groups of ladies, one who are in Shantarasa and one group is in Madhuri Rasa. How they how they are discussing amongst each other. Sanjalpa is going on. Oh, the Lord is like this. Oh, the Lord is like that. They are glorious. The Vrajavasis are glorious and the Dwarakavasis is glorious. So that's how they are discussing. And that's how the completion of the section. Now, the further continuation. Evam vida gadatina sagira parayoshita nirikshena binandan sasmitena yayo harihi.
While the ladies of the capital Hastinapur were greeting him and talking in this way, the Lord, smiling, accepted their good feelings and casting the grace of his glance over them, he departed from the city.
Yeah. Now, here, as they're discussing, as they are glorifying him, Krishna from the bottom, because they are on top of the forts. And Krishna is walking underneath. He was just seeing them and smiling. So he does 2 things. Nirikshanena, Abhinandanena. Abhinandan and Nirikshan. Nirikshanena by his glance of glancing, by his grace of glancing over them, and Abhinandan and greeting them. Greeting them how? Sasmitena, with smiling face. So 2 things he did, smiling and glancing. So it is explained that, what is the commentary read?
By his glance, he pleased the woman who had Santarati, and by his smiles, he pleased those with Madhurya Bhava.
So those who are in Madhurya Rasa, he gave a smile to them because they were in a lot of shy and they were not even looking up to properly towards Krishna, because they had a lot of shy and they are not smiling. That's why he smiled back to them. He's giving smile to them. And Shandrati, the ladies, they were smiling because they were not very shyful, not having Madhuri Rasa. They are not very shy. They are just smiling and seeing and smiling. For them, he gave a look, glancing, and he pleased them by his glance, Shantarati devotees. That's how his exchanges are. Krishna can do anything simultaneously. Ajatashatru Kritanam Gopithaya Madhudvishaha Parebhya Shankita Snehat Pyayungta Chaturangini.
Maharaj Yudhishthir, although no one's enemy, engaged 4 divisions of defense, horse, elephant, chariot, and army to accompany Lord Krishna, the enemy of Asura's demons. The Maharaj did this because of the enemy and also out of affection for the Lord.
So after Krishna reciprocating with them from a distance, so that's how we can also, even we are unable to have a great conversations with others, but at least by glancing and smiling with other devotees, we can reciprocate their gestures and feelings. It doesn't need, we can sit together for hours and hours. Our relationship is built in ashram, especially. It doesn't need, we need no need to sit together and read. Of course, that has to be also done. That needs to be done, sharing and all. But it may not be always possible. But at least by having exchanges, small exchanges can make a lot of difference if they are very frequent and very much hearty in nature. And then Krishna is leaving. So seeing that Krishna is leaving, Maharaj Yudhishthir, here the adjectives used were Ajatashatru. Who is Ajatashatru? Yudhishthir Maharaj. Though he didn't have any enemies, if he don't have enemies, then why he engaged Chaturangini? Chaturangini means what? 4 divisions of defense that one engages. What are the 4 divisions? Horse, elephant, chariot, and army. Army are like foot soldiers, and chariots, chariot fighters, and horses and elephants. There are 4 ways of defense. Ajatashatru, Yudhishthira Maharaj, though he didn't have any enemy in the kingdom, still he engaged all these 4 divisions to protect Krishna. Who is protecting? Who is protected? Krishna. What is Krishna's name is used? Madhudvishaha. Madhudvisha means what?
Yeah.
Enemy of Madhu or killer of the Madhu demon. He can kill any enemy also. First of all, there are no enemies in the kingdom. On top, even if they are there, Krishna can take care of. But still, Chaturangini was engaged. Pratanam, all the soldiers, defensive forces are engaged. For what? Gopitaya, for giving protection to Krishna. That shows Snehat. This is the affection of Yudhishthira Maharaj on Krishna. That shows the affection, that shows love towards his beloved Krishna. So that shows how Prabhupada also mentions in Anvai that devotional service is not a matter of sentimental speculation or imaginative ecstasy. Its substance is practical activity. Love is not a noun. Love is a verb. Love is not a noun. Love is a verb. It involves action also. Mainly action. So in general, let us suppose a mother is saying to the child, "Oh, my dear child, I love you so much. I have so many things to say to you, share with you, but I cannot cook breakfast to you. I cannot cook any special item for you. I cannot wash your clothes." So if mother is saying like that to child, then what kind of love? And though one is saying like that, but if it's not expressed in practice, then it's not actual love. It's not manifesting. It's not a genuine love. So it has to be manifested. in terms of activities, if you are actually loving someone. Then Prabhupada explains, Chaturangini means what? All these four categories of a army: foot soldiers, elephants, horses, and chariots. All he explains. Then he explains about this point. Read this one.
Ajata Shatru Madhudvisha. Maharaj Yudhishthir knew well that Krishna is everyone's friend and well-wisher. And yet there were asuras who were by nature enemies of the Lord. So out of fear of attack from others and out of affection also, he engaged all varieties of defensive forces as bodyguard of Lord Krishna. If required, Lord Krishna himself was sufficient to defend himself from the attack of others who counted the Lord as their enemy. But still, he accepted all the arrangement made by Maharaj Yudhishthir because he could not disobey the king, who was his elder cousin.
These are all very fine sentiments between these devotees. Summary.
The basic principle for all transcendental exchanges between the Lord and his devotees is exhibited to enjoy a transcendental bliss for which there is no comparison, even up to the level of Brahmananda.
So, Lord is always longing to exchange different rasas with his devotees, thereby give them happiness and release himself as well. More towards giving them happiness. That's the nature of the Lord. Ata duragatan shauri kauravan sannivartya dradam snigdhan prayayat swanagarim priyaihi.
Out of profound affection for Lord Krishna, the Pandavas who were of the Kuru dynasty accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. The Lord, however, persuaded them to return home, and he proceeded towards Dwaraka with his dear companions.
So, expression of the feelings, overwhelmed with thoughts of future separation. And they went a long distance, just like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his pastimes. 2-3 places we see that how the devotees are going along with him, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. One is Gadadhar Pandit Prabhu was going, he wanted to give up Kshetra Sannyas also. Take up Kshetra Sannyas. He was Kshetra Sannyasi, he's supposed to be there. But when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is leaving, he wanted to follow Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, hey, you took Kshetra Sannyas, you cannot come along with me. But still he was following. When the river came, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you please wait. That's it, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went ahead and Gadadhar Pandit Prabhu fainted there. Gadadhar Pandit, who was dedicated to worship of Gopinath. Also we hear from Kurma Brahman. Kurma Brahman also want to go with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He walked for some distance. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, no, you take care of your family. You be here, chant Hare Krishna and preach to others. Yare deke tare ko ho Krishna Upadesh. That was given there, that famous statement to South Indian Brahman, Kurma Brahman. So many, even Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, just before Lord is leaving to Vrindavan. So there also we see that he was accompanying till Alalnath almost. I think he was starting South Indian Yatra. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is about to start South Indian Yatra. So they went up to Alalnath and Lord left them and went ahead. So that is the nature of devotees, to see that, I mean, there is longing to be with them always. But because of some duties and some constraints, they have to be in separation. So that here also Krishna, they said, oh, you please go back. We need to try to develop some affection to at least someone. So just like they had a lot of affection and devotion to Krishna, and going with them, going with him, and being with him always is a great joy and great festival for them, Pandavas. We also try to develop some affection to some personality. As a brahmachari, it's quite difficult. We are always in our own zones. our own zones, quote unquote, either in ashram, either in our places, preaching places, wherever we are. But that is also that is needed, essential, and also very surcharging. That association of devotees, exalted devotees, affectionate devotees. Either they are here or at least they are somewhere in the sense, maybe some other centers, some other places, whom we know, whom we are connected to, whom we are regularly in touch and developing a deep relationship. So in that way, we can advance bhakti very swiftly by that affectionate association. Okay, that's how Krishna is going ahead from Hastinapur, and devotees their affection is dragging them along the way. So till some distance they also walked along with Krishna, but Krishna sent them back. Now Krishna is going ahead towards Dwaraka. Which all places he went explained here. कुरुजंगल पंचालान सूरे शेषान शयमाम मुनान ब्रह्मवर्तम कुरुक्षेत्रम मत्स्यान् सारस्वतान्नथ मरुदन्वम् अतिक्रम्य सौवीराभीरयोः परान् आन्व्रतान् भार्गवोपागात् चान्दात्मनोः मनाक् विभुः.
O Shaunaka, the Lord then proceeded towards Kurujangala, Panchala, Shurasena, the land on the bank of the river Yamuna, Brahmavarta, Kurukshetra, Matsya, Saraswata, the province of the desert and the land of scanty water. After crossing these provinces, he gradually reached the Sauvira and Abhira provinces. Then west of these reached Dwarka at last.
So what all places he went is explained. Prabhupada, beautiful purport explains. Let us read.
The providence passed over by the Lord in those days were differently named, but the direction given is sufficient to indicate that he traveled through Delhi, Punjab, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Saurashtra, and Gujarat, and at last reached his home, province at Dwarka.
Continue.
We do not gain any profit simply by researching the analogous province of those days up to now. It appears that the desert of Rajasthan and the provinces of scanty water like Madhya Pradesh were present even 5,000 years ago. The theory of soil experts that the desert developed in recent years is not supported by the statements of Bhagavatam. We may leave the matter for expert geologists to research because the changing universe has different phases of historical development. We are satisfied that the Lord has now reached his own province, Dwarka Dham, from the Kuru provinces. Kurukshetra continues to exist since the Vedic age, and it is sheer foolishness when interpreters ignore or deny the existence of Kurukshetra.
So we may leave the matter for expert geologists to research, but we are happy that Krishna reached Dwaraka Dham. So that's how Krishna traveled through all these provinces. And of course, the next verse also explains little more details, what he does, what he did along the way. But he crossed all these provinces with all the military, with all the extra forces, extra protection. He's going ahead to Dwaraka. Tatra tatra attatrair hari pratyudarhanaha sayam deje disham paschad gavistogam agatastata.
On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, the Lord suspended his journey to perform evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset.
Just like Dindi walk morning to evening, evening we have to stay at one place. So same, of course, Lord did that one. He was staying at one place in the evening. And also comment is that he is going to different places. Read this one.
The states situated on the road from Hastinapur to Dwarika also worshipped him. The Lord was offered gifts by the devotees living in all those places, Tatratyahi, as he proceeded on the road, in order to bring him to their place. To fulfill their desires, he went to all these places one after the other, and after staying a few days in each place, continued on the road. He arrived at Dwaraka, Paschat Disham, in the afternoon, Sayam. At the time, the sun, Gavishtaha, had entered the water gam of the Western Ocean.
This is the nature of the Lord. He's always reciprocating with the desires of the devotees. He's staying at a few places also, in few days, at each place where the devotees are existing, where the devotees are trying to offer him gifts. And then he's starting again to go ahead to Dwaraka. That is the nature of Lord, to reciprocate with the devotees. Read this one.
Imitation following?
Yeah, highlight first.
The Lord in human society does what is duty of everyone, but sometimes he does something extraordinary and not to be imitated by the living being. His acts of evening prayer, as stated herein, must be followed by the living being, but it is not possible to follow his mountain lifting or dancing with the gopis. One cannot imitate the sun, which can exhaust water even from a filthy place. The most powerful can do something which is all good, but our imitation of such acts will put us into endless difficulty. Therefore, in all actions, the experienced guide, the spiritual master, who is the manifested mercy of the Lord, should always be consulted, and the path of progress will be assured.
Because it is mentioned about how he is taking care of his rituals in the evening. And that's what the Prabhupada took up the point that Krishna is setting an example. Said an example to follow all of us, followed by all of us, because he is doing all these rites, performing journey and evening rites is performing. So that's why Prabhupada is commenting whole purport. Lord observed the religious principles regularly while he was on journey. That's why he brought the topic of following and imitating. So what he did in Dwaraka and Mathura, definitely we need to follow. But in Vrindavan, especially some extraordinary pastimes that Krishna did, that we cannot imitate. That's what Prabhupada is saying in this. Then we cannot imitate like mountain lifting and gopis pastimes. But that also we need to, under guidance, we need to follow. So in all actions, the experienced guide, spiritual master, who is manifested mercy of the Lord, has to be consulted for path of assured progress. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 10th chapter on Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka. So that in this way, Krishna is just left Dwaraka, he crossed all the provinces, and then he is trying to come close near Dwaraka, and he is entering into Dwaraka now. Let us enter into Dwaraka. Chapter 11. So, main themes of the 9th chapter, 10th chapter. First, Yudhishthira Maharaj ruling and kingdom is explained. Then, especially the loving exchanges, heart-rendering exchanges when he was departing were explained. How, because of their interaction with Krishna day in and day out, that relationship is so thick. That's how they could relate to the Lord, release the relationship. That's how the emotions are coming out. And then Then how the glory of opulence of the Lord explained while he was walking on the streets of Hastinapur. How all the other servants, Arjun, even Uddhava, Satyaki, how they are holding, and Chamara, they are offering to the Lord while he's leaving. And then the last section we saw that how the prayers or the talks, Sanjalpa of all the Kuru ladies, so sweet and Sarva Shruti Manoharaha. Even Shrutis were very much pleased to hear them. That's what we have seen. And finally, he entering into Dwaraka. So as per the chapter 11, Dwaraka, at 2-3 places it comes, he entered the city Dwaraka. So 2-3 places. That means that the different stages are there where he's entering into the city. Just like Pune or any other city. As also many, we say that, oh, we entered into Pune when we come to the edges. Right now. That is also entering in Pune. Or when we come to near interiors also, some locations, we entered into Pune. When say that, oh, we are also entered into Pune. That is also entering into Pune only. So in that way, here 2-3 places it's mentioned entering into Dwaraka. At different devotees are coming and greeting the Lord. So in that way, we understand he is coming to closer and closer to his own quarters. First is city outside. It is a one main interaction happens when it is said that he is entered Dwaraka, and there all the citizens came and offering prayers. Is like just coming outskirts of Dwaraka. So then he enters. Then again, all his inner quarters devotees, especially all the brahmanas and other people, they start coming and offering prayers to Lord. That is another section. Another group of devotees are coming and offering. That is more intimate offerings. And then finally enters into quarters. Also these three levels of entry is discussed here. Okay, we'll start with the main section, first section, how he's entering into the city. The first 3 verses talk about how he's conch shell and is a loving call through that sound vibration. Prabhupada writes a beautiful purports for these slokas. Text 1. Suta uvacha anapran sapavarjya swaruddhan janapadan swakan dadbhau niravaram tesham vishadam samayanniva.
Suta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anarthas, Dwaraka.
Anarthas.
Huh? Anarthas, no?
Anarthas, yeah. Okay.
Anarthas.
Continue.
Okay, Dwaraka. The Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants.
Read.
The beloved Lord was away from his own prosperous metropolis of Dwaraka for a considerably long period because of the battle of Kurukshetra. And thus all the inhabitants were overcome with melancholy due to the separation. When the Lord descends to the earth, his eternal associates also come with him, just as the entourage of a king accompanies him. Such associates of the Lord are eternally liberated souls, and they cannot bear the separation of the Lord even for a moment because of intense affection for the Lord.
So the intense affection makes them more and more fonder in heart. The separation also is a great experience. At the same time, they are longing for the personal experience of the Lord, Dwarkavasis. Text 2. Of course, Prabhupada says here, the heralding sound is so auspicious. It's very much encouraging. And apparently the sound pacified their dejection. Prabhupada writes a beautiful purport also for that, on commenting on this in next verse. Sauchakashe dhavalodharo apyurukramasya dharoshana shonima dadhamamana Kancha Sampute Yathabja Kande Kalaham Savanaha.
The white and fat bowled conch shell, being gripped by the hand of the Lord Krishna and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of red lotus flowers.
Read the purport.
The redness of the white conch shell due to the lip touch of the Lord is a symbol of spiritual significance.
Continue.
The Lord is all spirit, and matter is ignorance of this spiritual existence. Factually, there is nothing like matter in spiritual enlightenment. And this spiritual enlightenment takes place at once by the contact of the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. The Lord is present in every particle of all existence, and he can manifest his presence from anything and everything according to the spiritual enlightenment of the devotee. Otherwise, the Lord reserves the right of not being exposed to anyone and everyone. By ardent love and devotional service to the Lord, or in other words, by spiritual contact with the Lord, everything becomes spiritually reddened like the conch shell in the grip of the Lord. And the Paramahamsa, or the supremely intelligent person, plays the part of the ducking swan in the water of spiritual bliss, eternally decorated by the lotus flower of the Lord's feet.
Yeah, Prabhupada writes quite poetically. So Krishna is holding the conch. When he is holding the conch is so whitish, so glowing in white. But his lotus, his hands are reddish. Generally, you might have seen deities also. They have reddish color in the hand, like a lotus. So when he was holding, it's compared to like the swan is in between the lotuses. So that's how the comparison is given. And also he's blowing the conch shell with his reddish lips. By that red also is becoming shiny in her glow. The conch shell is glowing. That's what Prabhupada is bringing out, the kind of a spiritual insight. That the Lord is all spirit, matter is ignorance. Everything is spiritualized by the presence of the Lord. That's the point here. By ardent love and devotional service to the Lord, in other words, by spiritual contact with the Lord, everything becomes spiritually reddened. Like the conch shell in the grip of the Lord. That spiritual contact, just like Prabhupada also gives example of fire and iron rod. The more we keep the iron rod in fire, it becomes fiery. So the more we are in touch with Krishna, the more we become spiritually reddened. Text 3. Tamopashrutya ninadam jagat bhayavaham pratyudyahu praja sarva ratrur darshana lalasaha.
The citizen of Dwarka, having heard that sound which threatened fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience with the Lord, who is the protector of all devotees.
Read.
As already explained, the citizen of Dwarka who lived at the time of Lord Krishna's presence, there were all liberated souls who descended there along with the Lord as his
entourage.
All were very anxious to have an audience with the Lord, although because of spiritual contact they were never separated from the Lord.
So they appear to be separated, but they are all having wonderful exchanges in the hearts. Read this one.
Some distinguished fictions writer in Bengal concluded that the Krishna of Vrindavan, that of Mathura, and that of Dwarka were different personalities. Historically, there is no truth in this conclusion. The Krishna of Kurukshetra and the Krishna of Dwarka are one and the same personality.
So this same point came in the last chapter also. So I came to know yesterday. There was a Bengali poet who wrote a famous song every day in schools we sing. That personality wrote one book on Krishna. So he wrote one book called Krishna Charita. So in that book, he was mentioning his ideas that that Krishna who spoke Gita is very good, but that Krishna who is in Vrindavan is not very good. That kind of a comparison. So Prabhupada is bringing out that point that some people accept Dwarka Krishna because Dwarka Krishna is good. He is following all moral rules and he is trying to be a good king. He is supporting all the dharma and he spoke Gita. Gita is such a famous. He is good. What is this Krishna of Vrindavan? I think this is more of interpolation somewhere in the history. So that's what his way of fictionally putting the story in his book. Then he took the book to Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He was a good friend of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So when he was approached, then Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I mean, he was very thick friends. So he corrected a lot, almost changed the book theme itself. Everything was corrected and everything was modified, edited. Then he published his book, Krishna Charita. But that is his humility as well. That Krishna Charita, he published the book. Huh? Now it's proper. Now it's proper in the sense, yeah, whatever Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave suggestions, gave suggestions, and according to the proper understanding of Krishna, it's not that Krishna of Vrindavan is just imagination or the interpolation somewhere in the history. No, they are same person. They did. You may not understand him, but that's okay. But doesn't mean that he's not a fact. It's not a fact about Vrindavan. So that's how Prabhupada is bringing here that point. Both are authorized personalities, but Krishna had his own way of doing things in Vrindavan, especially. That point Prabhupada is making. Please read this one. A sound.
This okay. This sound of the Lord is identical with the Lord, as we have tried to explain by the non-dual position of the Lord. The material existence of our present status is full of fear. Out of the four problems of material existence, namely the food problem, the shelter problem, the fear problem, and the mating problem. The fear problem gives us more trouble than the others. We are always fearful due to our ignorance of next problem. The whole material existence is full of problem, and thus the fear problem is always prominent. This is due to our association with the illusionary energy of the Lord, known as Maya or external energy. At all fear is vanished as soon as there is the sound of Lord, presented by the holy name as it was sounded by the Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the following 16 words. Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
We can take advantage of these sounds and be free from all threatening problem of material existence.
So Prabhupada is bringing out a beautiful lesson from the sound of Kanshal. The fear and the dejection was eliminated, thrown out from the hearts of all the Dwarkavasis. Similarly, the sound vibration of the Mahamantra will definitely free us from all kinds of fears in this world. And also, when the morning conchal blows at 4:30, unfortunately, all the fear starts. That's the unfortunate situation, but still, but that conchal should give us more hope, more joy, and fearlessness. That conchal gives us a lot of fear. Yes. But the sound vibration, the more joyful we should become when we hear conch shell that Lord is being giving his audience and rushing towards, just like they are rushing to meet the Lord, to greet the Lord, to pray to the Lord, to glorify the Lord. Similarly, we also, early in the morning, every day, when the conch shell blows, and the beautiful prayers are also very much revealing what their heart's content. And we can always offer those prayers as well when we go before the Lord. So this is the first section, how Lord is just entering the city outskirts, is there, and he blew the conch shell in the outskirts. And by hearing the conch shell sound vibration, so everyone awoke from their slumber kind of a dejection. Now 4 to 10, they are welcoming the Lord with presence and glorification. 4 and 5. Tatropanita balayo raver ivadrataha atmaravam purnakavam nijalabhena nityada प्रीत्युत्फुल्ल मुखा प्रचोर हर्षगद्गदया गिरा पितरं सर्वसुहृदं वितरामिवार्पका.
The citizens arrived before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient one, who, by his own potency, incessantly supplies others. These presentations were like the offering of the lamb to the sun. Yet the citizens began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as wards welcome their guardian and father.
So here two analogies he was used. What are the two?
Wards.
Patropanita, Balayo, Upanita, what they brought, all the things that are brought are like Raver Deepam Iva, just like offering a lamp to Ravi, the Surya, Deepam, the small lamp offering to sun. It's like that. For whom is they are offering? Atmaramam, to that one who is fully satisfied. Purnakamam, he doesn't have anything to expect. To that Lord they are offering all those offerings. That's why it's compared to Raver Deepam Iva. Though sun doesn't need any kind of light, but it is an act of worship, act of appreciation, glorification that they all the people offer the lamp. And also second analogy they gave, Pitaram Sarva Suhrudam Avitarami Varbakaha. So that the father and son example is given, just like wards welcome their guardian and father. So they are welcoming the Lord with these things. Prabhupada explains the sun and lamp example. Read this one. Very beautiful purport.
The Supreme Lord Krishna is described herein as Atmarama. He is self-sufficient and there is no need for him to seek happiness from anything beyond himself. He is self-sufficient because his very transcendental existence is total bliss. He is eternally existent. He is all cognizant and all blissful. Therefore, any presentation, however valuable it may be, is not needed by him. But still, because he is the well-wisher for one and all, he accepts from everyone everything that is offered to him in pure devotional service. It is not that he is in want of such things, because the things are themselves generated from his energy. The comparison is made herein that making offering to the Lord is something like offering a lamp in the worship of the sun god. Anything fiery and illuminating is but an emanation of the energy of the sun. And yet to worship the sun god, it is necessary to offer him a lamp. In the worship of the sun, there is some sort of demand made by the worshipper. But in the case of devotional service to the Lord, there is no question of demand from either side. It is all a sign of pure love and affection between the Lord and the devotees.
Yeah. So here, the sun and lamp example, what are the 2 points Prabhupada mentioning, bringing out? Any contemplation? Why it's compared to sun and lamp example, just like they are offering gifts to Krishna. What What are the things involved here? One point is that it is insignificant for the sun right now. Sun is so big, sun has so light, and I'm so small, so insignificant. So similarly, all the gifts are like more of a very insignificant in compared to Purna Kamam, Atma Ramam. He's self-sufficient. It's very insignificant. But still, out of love, out of kindness, Krishna accepts. Okay, that is one aspect. Like very small compared to the effulgence of the sun. Lamp is very small. Okay, any other point? Analogy of sun and lamp. Prabhupada is mentioned here. Prabhupada mentioned here. The lamp, energy of the lamp came from sun only. So whatever we are offering, whatever the gifts are offering, whose gifts they are? They are all given by Krishna only. Just like in Kaliya pastime, when after Kaliya pastime happened, when Nagapatnis were glorifying, at last they thought they should give some gift to the Lord, but they don't have anything. So what Krishna did, before that only he dropped some jewels underneath, special monies. So they went down and brought them and they offered to the Lord, my dear Lord, please accept. So it's like that. Whatever Krishna gave, that only we can offer. Whatever all the things that we have is only Krishna's special mercy. So that only we offer to Krishna. Just like yesterday, I think we are reading all the rivers. River example in 9th chapter, I think we were reading example of river and energies of the Lord. All just like the sun, just like the rain waters come from ocean, take the form of ocean, take the form of rains, and again become like a rivers, and again they go to ocean. Right now, all the waters circulate from ocean, again goes to ocean. Similarly, all the energies are coming from the Lord, has to go to the Lord only again, has to be utilized for the service of the Lord. All the energies that are arising from the Lord in various forms that has to be utilized in the service of the Lord. Similarly, here that all their offering is coming from the Lord only, but He is pleased by that offerings. That is the nature of loving exchange. Even father and son example is given. Of course, this example is different, but in general also, where if the child gives whatever father brings to home, out of that only if the child picks up one mango and gives to father, father, please take. Father will take with great love and devotion and affection. Right now, that is more pleasing to the father. Though he only brought from the market, he only purchased by his money. So, like giving Ganges water to Ganges. This example is given that we go to Ganges, we pick up the one handful of Ganges water and offer to Ganges. So it's like that. Whatever we are offering to the Lord is taken from the Lord. We are just offering the love. And Prabhupada uses explain the second example of the father and son. How son is like a greeting father. The example is given here. Prabhupada explains. Read this one. The
Lord is just like the desire tree, and from him everyone can have everything by the causeless mercy of the Lord. As the Supreme Father, the Lord, however, does not supply to pure devotee what is considered to be a barrier to the discharge of devotional service. Those who are engaged in devotional service of the Lord can rise to the position of unalloyed devotional service by his transcendental attraction.
So, Balam Hitam Pita Swayam, our Prutu Maharaj prays in one of the beautiful sloka, Balam Hitam Pita Swayam, just like father, whatever he understands for the son, whatever the best suits for the son, welfare. So you please, my dear Lord, please give me that. Don't please let me not ask on my own, because a less intelligent child can ask anything which may be harmful for him. But please don't wait for that. I am asking for something else. As a father chooses whatever is best for the son, you please me award those benediction to me. That's how Prithu Maharaj offers a beautiful player there. Balam hitam pita swayam. So that's how these two examples are explained here, that we are like children, and I mean that comparison is given by Sutta Goswami. Sutta Goswami is giving here. Okay, text 6. Now they are saying, Natasmate nata sadangri pankajam virincha vairincha surendra vanditam parayanam kshenam ihecchatam param nayatra kala prabhavet para prabhu.
The citizen said, O Lord, you are worshipped by all demigods like Brahma, the four Sanas, and even the King of Heaven. You are the ultimate rest for those who are really aspiring to achieve the highest benefit of life. You are the supreme transcendental Lord and inevitable. Time cannot exert its influence upon you.
So in this prayer, the incomparable supremacy, they are glorifying the citizens at the outskirts of the city. They are receiving the Lord. They are glorifying the Lord. So they are saying that the supremacy of the Lord, you are worshipped by great personalities. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutas Tunvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sanga Padakramopanishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyana Vastita Tadgate Namanasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Na Vidu Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutas Tunvanti Divyaistavai. All those great personalities are singing the Divyaistavai. That to that personality I offer my respects. So here also all the great personalities, Brahma, Sanak Sanatan, even King of Indra, they are offering their respects. They worship you, dear Lord. So that's how they are glorifying him. You are Supreme Lord, that inevitable time cannot exert its influence upon you. Time cannot do anything. Because from him, the influence of time comes out. Yeah, read this one. The living entities.
The living entities are predominated Brahman, whereas the Supreme Lord is predominating Absolute. As soon as we forget this clear fact, we are at once in illusion. As thus we are put into the threefold miseries. As one is put into dense darkness, the clear consciousness of cognizant living being is God consciousness, in which one bows down unto him in all circumstances.
The clear consciousness of cognizant living being is God consciousness. One bows down unto him in all circumstances. So by praying to him, by glorifying him, our consciousness also becomes purified. It's a beautiful verse. Bhavayanastvam bhava vishvabhavana tameva matata suhrutpatim pita tam sadgurunna paramam cha daivatam yasyānuvritya krutino bhabuvima.
O Creator of the universe, you are our Mother, Well-wisher, Lord, Father, Spiritual Master, and Worshipable Deity. By following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect. We pray, therefore, that you continue to bless us with your mercy.
So they are saying, my dear Lord, you are everything for us. Mata, Pita, Suhrut, Pati, Pita. Everything. You are Bhavayanastam. Bhavavishwa Bhavana. You are the well-wisher for all the universes. Tvam Sadgurunna Paramam Cha Daivatam. Even the supreme worshipable object. So by following in your footsteps, we become successful. So this is a very beautiful verse. Please read the purport.
O Creator of the universe, you are our Mother, Well-wisher.
Purport. You read the translation we read.
The all-good personality of Godhead, being the Creator of the universe, has his all good plans for the good of all good living beings. The good living beings are advised by the Lord to follow his good advice, and by doing so, they become successful in all spheres of life. There is no need to worship any deity but the Lord. The Lord is all powerful and he Yet if he is satisfied by our obedience unto his lotus feet, he is competent to bestow upon us all kinds of blessings for the successful execution of both our material and spiritual lives. For attaining spiritual existence, the human form is a chance for all to understand our eternal relation with God. Our relation with Him is eternal. It can be neither broken nor vanquished. It may be forgotten for the time being, but it can be revived also by the grace of the Lord. If we follow His injunctions, which are revealed in the scriptures of all times and all places.
So, for attaining spiritual existence, our human life is a chance. Shariram khalu dharma sadhanam. That's how I explained that our human form of life is the main chance to revive our eternal relationship. Our relationship is always eternal and it is never broken. Just like that example is given, one rich man's son is going into the forest for hunting. And while traveling and while going, unfortunately, he fell into a great valley. And because he fell into a valley, he got severe injuries on head at the back of the brain and he lost all the memory. Now, because he lost the memory, then he is trying to be with the tribals there in that valley who are staying in the valley and trying to be with them and serve them and to lift the logs and carry the logs at different ways. So these things he was doing in the valley. But the father, searching the son, came all the way. Where he went? He went for forest hunting. Where he is now? So he came to son and is trying to say the son, hey, you don't belong to here. You are my son. The son is unable to recognize who is this. No, I belong to here. I am staying here for a long time. Now then father is trying to convince him by showing different objects, by showing different belongings to him. Then the son started remember again the back, bringing back the memory. Oh, I belong to that. I belong to my father. So that's how we are having here. We forgotten the relationship with our Father, Supreme Father. We forgotten it may be forgotten for time being, Prabhupada is saying here, but it can be revived also by the grace of the Lord if we follow His injunctions. So that's how we can, by practice of Bhakti Yoga, it's given a great opportunity to revive our lost relationship. The relationship is always there, but it's just forgotten. That's the explanation. Text 8. Aho sanatha bhavata smayadvayam traipishtapanaamapi duradarshanam premasmitasnigdha nirikshananam pashyema rupam tava sarva saubhagam. Read. Who is reading?
Oh, it is our good luck that we have come again today under your protection by your presence. Although your lordship is rarely visited even by the denizens of heaven, now it is possible for us to look upon your smiling face, which is full of affectionate glances. We can now see your transcendental form full of all auspiciousness.
Yeah. So these 2-3 verses are very beautiful to recite whenever we go, if possible. Aho sanata bhavata yadvayam. Though it's our good fortune, although your lordship is rarely visited even by denizens of heaven. Traipishtapana api duradarshanam. What Krishna says in Gita 11 chapter 54, 55 verses about his form. He's saying about his form. Even devatas are all hankering to see this form. What is the verse? I don't remember now, but he's saying all the demigods, all the heavenly planets are always longing to see this beautiful form of mine. 11th chapter, can somebody open? 11.55 or 54 and 55, I think. There he says that even demigods are always hankering this beautiful form of Shyam Sundar, two-handed form. That they are longing to see, but it's very difficult to see. Very difficult to see that form. $54 or $55? $54, that only? Shakta. 52, sorry. Sududarshamidam Rupam. Please repeat. Sududarshamidam Rupam. Drishtavanasi Yanmama. Devapyasya Rupasya. Nityam. Nityam Darshana Kangshinaha. I'll just show that verse. Yeah, 1152. Sudurdosham rupam, Shri Bhagavan vacha, Sudurdosham rupam, Drishtavanasi yanmama, Devapyasya rupasya nityam darshana kangshinaha. So this form is so rare. My dear Arjun, this form of mine you are now seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are even ever seeking the opportunity to see this form, which is so dear. So that's the nature of the Lord's form and beauty, that they are always longing to have the darshan of the Lord in various ways. So Traipishtapana api Duradarshanam. But we are able to see that form. That's how we became Sanatha. Aho Sanatha Bhavata. We are Anatha. We were Anatha. We were without any kind of support or protection, shelter. But now, because we came under your shelter, now we are becoming Sanatha. Anatha becomes Sanatha. Aho Sanatha Bhavatasmayadvayam. We became, basically, they are saying that we are protected now, we are taking our shelter. Pashyema Rupam Tavasarbhokam. We behold your beautiful form, which is filled with Premasmita Snigdha Nirikshananam. That's a beautiful form, they are saying. That's 45. Shall we go through purport? Maybe. Okay, we'll complete this purport. Read this one.
The Lord in his eternal personal form can be seen only by pure devotees. The Lord is never impersonal. He is supreme absolute personality of Godhead, possible by dint of devotional service to be visited face to face, which is impossible to be done even by the denizens of higher planets. When Brahmaji and other demigods want to consult Lord Vishnu, the plenary portion of Lord Krishna, they have to wait on the shore of the ocean of milk, where Lord Vishnu is lying on the white island Shwetadeep. This ocean of milk and Shwetadeep planets are the replica of Vaikuntha Loka within the universe. Neither Brahmaji nor the demigods like Indra can enter into the island of Shwetadeep, but they can stand on the shore of the ocean of milk and transmit their message to Lord Vishnu, known as Shirodakshai Vishnu. Therefore, the Lord is rarely seen by them, but the inhabitant of Dwarka, because of their being pure devotees without any tinge of mental contamination of fruitive activities and empirical philosophical speculation, can see him face to face by the grace of the Lord. This is the original state of the living entity and can be attained by reviving our natural and constitutional state of life, which is discovered by devotional service only.
So by the process of devotional service, one can directly come to see the beautiful form of the Lord. And Prabhupada many times mentioned one can see Krishna face to face. So that is the beauty of our process, Bhakti Yoga. Of course, all Dwarkavasis are perfect in that Bhakti Yoga. That's how they could have darshan of the Lord, smile of the Lord, association of the Lord eternally in Dwarka Dham. That's their good fortune, great fortune. And by following in their footsteps, we also can definitely become fortunate. So, this Brahma of our universe is pure devotee. So he may be able to keep on remembering the Lord in the heart. That's what explanation that our Brahma, that universe that we are in now, is pure devotee for whom the Lord revealed Chatushloki. He is pure devotee. Generally, many Brahmas are more on dharmic nature than pure devotion. Those who did, those who completed 100 lifetimes of Varnashram Dharma, they have the eligibility to become Brahma post. So they are more on dharmic level, not on pure devotion level. But our Brahmaji is pure devotee, so he is constantly meditating on the Supreme Lord in the heart. That Vrindavan Lila were saying. Yeah, his participated. Many Nitish Das came and many of the Sarkar demigods were requested by Krishna himself to come down to participate in different pastimes. But you are asking Brahmaji came or not? Correct. Correct. Your point is correct that when they go to prayers, only Brahmaji could hear the sound. They cannot see the personality of Kshira Sai Vishnu when they go to Kshir Sagar and pray to the Lord. But here, a beautiful point that you brought out that they could see the form of the Lord personally. That's a great benediction on them. Thank you. Okay, we pause here. I think 2 more verses are there in this section. We'll try to complete tomorrow. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.